There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
All right, Hunter Man, what you think?
That's the cue.
That's the cue. Phil, can we talk now? Thank you. What episode is this? 108?
108.
All right, here we go.
I took one off. Felt like I was,
Yeah.
letting you down a little bit last show. But Mr. Alex Funky filled in. He did a fantastic job. I'll give him credit.
He did a funktastic job.
I knew there was a joke.
That's
coming on that one.
He was a big hit for the Supa Suka show.
Super.
And we were trending really well with moms. I think it was the hair. I think he had the, he had those like romance novel type hair.
Uh-huh.
So it was Fabio, but rod building. He just it was great. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
so he's one of the chairman of what is it? Long-haired rod builders. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Thanks, Chick. He's here too. All right, so we are doing fade wraps tonight.
Right.
We've done it before, so we're going to do a little different tonight. I've got some yellow, orange, and red on the table. It's cold. We had a cold front here in Central Florida. And I say that in a way that I know you guys probably don't care because it was 49 here this morning, and that's probably 20 degrees warmer than some of y'all's highs that you're dealing with.
I'm sure most people by now are sick of the weather jokes that we make up here. But you know what?
Exactly.
We have to deal with 95-degree temperatures for 10 months out of the year.
Right.
So,
So,
just
and we
us.
don't really care because it's Florida. I'd rather be here. Good news is, too, we have saved daylight, everybody. We have saved daylight. It has been saved. We are here. It's not going to be dark when we're eating our Hot Pockets after the show, so we are super stoked about that. We can maybe play a little golf, maybe fish after work. It's great. We should leave it. All right, so anyway, we're going to set up some fade wraps tonight.
Yep,
We're gonna
set up some fade wraps. What else you got on tap? I see,
We have a classic fade.
I was going to say, there's a couple different types of fade wraps, right? We got the classic. What else we got?
And we have, I don't really know what to call it, but we're calling it the alternative fade wrap. I think, I don't know, maybe it was from like the mid-90s or
I was
something.
going to say, just the music choice.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's like Smells Like Fade Wraps or something would be the album. But I know not many people in here are getting that joke. Everybody's a little too old. So it was the 90s and alternative music. Keep up with me, folks. All right, so we're doing fade wraps. We're going to show you how to lay them out, and we're going to do a couple different kinds. And Hunter's got some housekeeping stuff for us.
We do. So if you guys have seen the emails, which I'm sure you have, or if you've been to the website, we still have a St. Patrick's Day sale going. It's going to run through tonight, so you still got plenty of time to cash in on those savings. Couple of headliners here, 20% off rod kits. That does exclude all-in-one rod kits.
Okay.
But any MHX, CRB, there's a big selection of rod kits on the website. 20% off. Also, 20% off CRB and CRB Pro tools and equipment. Some good items in there. 20% off all American Tackle guides and tips. And last but not least, 50% off all clearance rod blanks, including a 7.6 USA made
Oh, yeah, that's right.
rod blank.
Okay.
That I think makes an excellent inshore rod, but also could be a great freshwater rod, especially for you guys that are doing the FFS, the forward-facing sonar.
Sure.
Yeah, right? It's a big controversial topic right now in the bass fishing world,
Yes.
but this is a really nice 7.6 kind of medium power, fast action rod blank.
Okay.
USA made. Currently 50% off, down to $75.
Pretty good.
So check that out. I'm sure the guys will throw a link in there. 50% off USA made blank does not come through very often, so take advantage of those savings. And there are other clearance blanks that are up to 50% off. So good bucket of really great sale items there.
Yeah.
So again, goes through tonight, and yeah, take advantage while you can. Moving on, we got to talk about a very important person that's part of the Mudhole family that recently retired, Mr. Todd Vivien, our beloved Todd Vivien.
Yes.
That we all love so much. He was instrumental in, kind of constructing the MHX line of blanks along with my dad, Bob McCamey.
Right.
Todd also is the lead instructor for all the rod building classes.
He is the head instructor.
The lead instructor, correct. Yes. Now, he is retiring, but he is not completely removed from the company. He's still, you may still see him in some of the rod building classes.
Couldn't quite get rid of him. Right.
So we couldn't get rid of him fully. He's still very much involved in the rod building classes, including being an instructor in some of those classes. So
yes, Todd is not dead, but he's dying
to
teach you how to build fishing rods. So
wow,
there he is.
You're just on a roll tonight.
Yeah, well, it's that extra hour of daylight.
Yeah. So a couple of classes that are up on the schedule. Not that Todd will be at these, but he might be. You might see him there.
Yeah.
We've got one on April 20th in Oakland, California. We've got one early May on the 4th of May in Edison, New Jersey. We've got one middle of May in Portland, Oregon, and then we have one in the middle of June 15th, in our very own facility here in Oviedo, Florida. So
sweet.
Thank you, Todd. We appreciate all the hard work you put in.
Yes.
I think Todd joined Mudhole around 2008, 2007, 2008, maybe 2009. One of those 3 years. I'm going to try to get it in there.
Way.
So obviously he's been with the company a very long time. We appreciate all of his hard work, dedication, knowledge. The
I don't
list
think
goes
he's
on and on and on.
Other than being, a serviceman. Todd was in the armed forces. I think he's only just done rod building, and he's been. If you have built a fishing rod, or you've even fished, like really, the classic brands like Lama Glass and some other things like that. If you have fished with a rod like that, Todd Vivien's probably had a hand in that.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool.
I see you got something over there pretty special. What
so we got some stickers. They are the Captain Todd Vivien series. And the best part is there's a little bubble up here, and that's where our favorite Todd Vivien quote or expletive can be put. So since we're on YouTube and streaming all over the world here, I'm just going to I'm going to keep it clean, but I'm going to keep it fun and put it in Todd's voice, which is, if you've ever taken a rod building class, you might have heard Todd say, "Damn it!" So there it is. Thank you, Todd. We'll get you on the wall here. He's going on the wall of fame. We'll put him right up here next to Guffey.
All right. Perfect.
There it is. Well done, Hofma. Hofma was the one that made that famous caricature. Actually, of both of them, did the famous Todd caricature that we have here. So, all right. What else?
One more thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't know if you had one more other thing.
One more thing. Well, I actually skipped ahead there a little too far. But anyway.
You were so excited.
I'm going to do a sneak peek of a product that a lot of you guys have been asking for. It's in our catalog, and it's coming very soon. We're looking at getting this in around the middle of April, so we're not too far away. It is currently on the website. You can sign up for the email reminder, which has been very helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
Looking for out-of-stock items. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a sneak peek. How about that?
He's been overseas a little too long. He's
Exactly.
just coming right back into the English language.
So let's get a little zoom up here. I'm going to show you this fancy little package that our great guys in the product team, Mr. Will Burke, has helped create. So we've done this special pouch, and I'm gonna give you just a quick little glimpse at our little inletting tool here, the CRB Pro inletting tool. You got the tool in the middle, we got an Allen key over here, we got the blades, all in one nice pouch with some extra set screws in this side over here. It's gonna come with instructions, all in one pouch, nice and neat organization. You got a place to put your blades when you're finished. This is a great tool to help with inletting fly grips, or maybe you want to incorporate a coin into the butt cap. A lot of cool, fun features you can do with this inletting tool. So anyway, that's all I'm going to show you.
Yeah. Now I will say I like it because I'm an inletting tool fan. Because I like to do my own grips and then match it up to the seat. The one thing that I was super stoked that you and Will did with that, it's nice to have the tool to undo, but the extra set of set screws.
Yes.
Now somebody's thinking.
Yeah.
Now
for
somebody's
sure,
thinking.
for sure.
Because if you've ever seen the microscopic set screws that come with tools like that, they end up, if I lose a size 6 guide, we know we're going to lose a set screw.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
don't worry about it.
Yep. We're also going to be selling the blade sets. It's a set of 5 sizes.
Okay.
Which there's actually 2 blades per size, so there's
Right.
10 total blades. We're going to sell that set separately. That was a big issue with our past Crafties cutter. We never had the blades sold separately. So, and we need to test this for sure to make sure, but I'm very confident that the blades that we're going to sell separately as an individual standalone item will actually work in the previous Crafties cutter.
Ooh.
So if you guys
Now.
have had a Crafties cutter in your on your bench and you don't have any blades currently, more than likely you'll be able to buy this standalone set and
dig it.
get that to work again. So,
Sweet.
there you go.
All right. So that takes care of housekeeping for giveaways, because that's why we know that you're here. The first place giveaway tonight is going to be ProWrap 18 spool thread assortment with a couple of these guys. CRB thread inlay bobbins. They're just like the bobbin that fly tires know, except they have these little handlebars out here on the outside. And then you can use this band, and it goes from this handlebar around your rod blank and hooks over here, okay? That probably didn't show you really well, but I'm going to show you how to use it tonight. Second place, we're going to do a 40 spool thread assortment and then some more of these guys. And then the grand prize, of course, we're going to do all that. And since we're doing some color stuff tonight, we're going to do the CRB Color Series custom rod kit that goes along with it. Now, just like before, you got to send us an email, live@mudhole.com. We cannot go tracking y'all down. So if you win something, please shoot me an email at live@mudhole.com. And, especially for things like the Color Series custom rod kit. We'll get you the color guides and all that stuff the best we can. If something's out of stock, then we can kind of manipulate it. But other than that, everybody good luck. So ask questions, stay with us. If you got a tip or a trick, throw it in there. We love seeing everybody throwing in here. People from Minnesota, from overseas. Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, so let's talk about setting up a fade wrap.
Let's do it. We got to get into it. Show us how it's done.
All right, so we need to talk a couple different things here. We're probably going to get a bunch of questions throughout the night on thread. I personally like to use color fast thread. All right, so for anybody that has played around with thread, there is color fast, and there's nylon, and there's silk, and there's some other things. The color fast holds its color exactly what it looks like on the spool, to when you transition it to a rod blank, to when you put finish on it, it's all the same. Now, I know we have talked about, what is this, episode 108? So for the last 107 episodes, we've talked about how I don't use color preserver for anything. Color preserver works with this because it's decorative, okay? It's just like on cross wraps and fancy other thread work where it's not going to be holding a guide, okay? So if you have some wild different thread colors that you've just got to have, I know what Billy does, like shade packs and all those different things. This is a good time to use it, but then use color preserver of some sort. Whichever your favorite one is, do your fade wrap, put color preserver on it, and you're good to go. Now, you can certainly use nylon thread, but you just got to keep in mind that it's going to change. And you can use metallics. You can mix it with nylon or color fast or all that. I would just recommend taking a scrap piece of blank like this one we have here and just doing a bunch of them. You know, fade one over here, fade one over here, and you can put some finish on it, and if it doesn't work, just don't let it cure out and just cut it off and clean it off. So having little spare blank pieces, we have talked about the entire length of Mud Hole Live since 7 years ago or 6 years ago, whenever we started doing this. Keep some spare parts, spare blanks, and you can always test stuff. Because I can't always tell you, well, you can't use gray, but you can use yellow, and you can, you know. So I will say, though, it is kind of a cool look at times if you go to, yeah, somebody said, do you have the sticker that we gave at ICRBE to put on the sticker wall? We thought we gave it to the responsible one. You gave it to me? But I haven't been here since ICRBE, right? Or did you? Jake? Did you? I think is it on my desk? Oh, okay. Anyway, sorry. We'll get that figured out because, yeah, I do remember you guys talking about that. Anyway, if you want to do some nylon stuff, there are some really cool, if you want to fade to black, because we've talked about this before, using nylon 862 black is the blackest black that you can get, okay? So color fast is black, 862, but it's not quite as dark as it could be. Yeah. Just because of the way that the color thread is treated. So anyway, that is my spiel on color. I always say test these things out. I kind of tested this stuff today. I'm doing kind of a endless summer kind of a vibe, hoping to melt all that snow away. So we're going to talk about tools needed. Do you need a 4-spool thread carriage? No, you don't. But if you got one, it's pretty cool. All of this can be done on a hand wrapper as well. The good news is we're not doing like big, long sections unless you are going to use a transition piece like inside of a split grip. You might do a short fade wrap at the butt and a short fade, you know, behind the rear grip, and then do the whole section in a solid color. You know, having a long section like that with a hand wrapper can be kind of tough. So you don't need a power wrapper like the RBS Pro G2 that we have here, but it is pretty sweet. So I would get one and have it. 4-spool thread carriage. The 4-spool thread carriage is going to be very handy when we're doing what we call it, the alternative. When we're doing the alternative fade wrap that Jake did on one of his rods, and I just am turning it into this endless summer theme. So we're using 3 colors for that. You can use more. I'm just doing 3 colors because you saw it in the image with the green and things like that. We wanted to kind of give you that preview, and then typically when people see a photo like that, they're like, hey, I want to know how to do that. So, oh, do we get it? Coming right in here. Here comes.
We got 2.
Sweet. What was that? Okay, they were on my desk. All right, cool. Let's see. So we're going to do 2 more stickers, right? Here we go. Camel City. Travis. Okay. Camel City Custom Rods. That's a cool logo. I like the shape of the decal too.
Nice.
Brisson. Sweet. All right. Hope I pronounced that okay. I'm talking off screen here.
Can't be worse than me when I do giveaways.
No, it can't. So at least we have that going for us. All right. I don't know how low can we go. Oh, we can still go there. Actually, this one's kind of small though. We'll sneak her right in here. I like to keep y'all guessing. All right. Camel City Custom Rods. And then we got this one. Kyle Watson. Sweet. K-Dub Rodco. I actually have Smyrna, Georgia. That's sweet. I actually have a friend that goes by K-Dub, so that's pretty cool. K-Dub Rod Co. All right, going up on the wall. All right, right next to John, boys. Okay, there we have it. So we got stickered tonight. That's one of the better hauls that we've had. All right, cool. So there we go. Sasha, thank you for reminding me of that, because we had 9 people here that forgot, including myself. All right, so where were we back? Back on tools.
Tools.
All right, so the 4-spool thread carriage is nice because, as I show you later, when I do the Jake alternative, going from one color to the next color and having it here handy is really, really nice. You don't have to have it, but man, does it make it easier, just like all these other CRB tools. Obviously, some sort of a thread burnishing tool. You can do this one. You've seen me use a thread pick plenty of times. The thread pick is nice because right down here on a more of a traditional fade wrap that you've seen, there is like what I call a backbone where you're switching between colors. And having a thread pick or a sharp burnishing tool is nice to try to keep that stuff straight. So that, the CRB, it's Inlay bobbin.
Inlay bobbin.
Inlay bobbin. All right, so as I mentioned before, the Inlay bobbin looks like a regular bobbin, except it's got these handlebars on it because, and when I show you that later, you can attach it to the rod blank and let it go. So this is for hands-free rod building. That is the CRB Inlay. And they're not expensive, but they're really nice to have when you're doing the traditional. That's what we're calling it. Traditional fade wrap. This guy right here, not the alternative. You don't need the bobbin for the alternative. So anyway, that's that.
One thing on thread. I don't think you mentioned this earlier. What size thread do you typically go with?
You know, and we actually had this conversation earlier because Phil, when we were setting up the camera, he was like, oh, what size is that? Is that size D? Because I can see it really well on the camera. And I'm like, as a matter of fact, it's size A. So, and I did that on purpose because I was just kind of playing around to see how it goes. In the past, I almost feel that size A, you can pack it a little better. It's not like, you might not see the transitions as heavy as you would in size D, but I feel like that when you burnish it and smooth it, it almost looks more of a solid color that you could almost flatten it a little bit better and kind of like mush all the colors together. Although that's probably not a real technical rod building term, but I do like size A for that. As I sit here and say that, this is size D. So I have A in here, and then I've got D here, and I don't really know if we can tell a difference. I feel like, do you feel like that you can see the individual threads in this one better than this one?
I would say yeah.
I feel like I can too. So if it was me and I was doing some real tight fade wrap work and such, and I feel like too here, hold on that screen there, Uncle Phil. Here you can see this is that backbone I'm talking about that runs across here. I feel like that we can tighten those up a little bit better with A rather than D. I don't know.
I think it's one of those things, as long as you're consistent, you do one or the other,
Yeah, not mix them.
not mix them. Yeah, hopefully that's not what you're about to do up here, but yeah.
No.
These are all the same size.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to use all A over here and all size D here for sure. But yeah, especially in some of the transitions, because like
going
with
back to
one band,
exactly the traditional fade there. If you use one color is D and one color is A, and you get down to those single turns, they're not going to be they're going to be fractionally off. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it is very tough to decipher A from D, but if you're very meticulous or,
Yeah,
they're going to look a little different.
And what I worry about too is because you have A and D that are going to be surrounding each other. So if you just wrapped size A, stopped, and then wrapped size D and stopped, and they just butted up to one another, it's one thing. Mm-hmm. Because I've been building a fishing rod and been like, oh, I'm using A for this and then D for because I don't have the right size and the color I want for a trim band. That to me is not a big deal. But the issue here is in both of these wraps, you're going to have, like, if you're using D for one and A for the other, you might have A in the middle of two size D or two size B, and it's going to like eat it. It's going to squash it.
Right.
Because the A is going to be thinner and it's just going to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know. So yeah, I would try to stick it out and stay with the same. So
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, Joe, are there fade patterns or recommended combinations? I struggle with color matching. So, Joe, I totally get where you're coming from there. I would say that there's not a whole lot of wrong that you can do here. There's some things that we're like, hey, don't ever do that in rod building. That's wrong. This is not necessarily wrong, but I would make sure that you have enough of a color change if you're doing like some of your first wraps to get it down, to understand how it works, and then kind of go through it. The previous show, we were using two blues. We had like a blue that was lighter than my shirt, and then we had like a real navy blue. Mm-hmm. So that gave a really nice contrast. If you had 3 colors or even more colors over here, you could fade them and do slightly lighter and let it fade out like that. It all just depends on the look that you're going for. And I know I hate to just default to I don't know, Joe, you're just going to have to try it. I hate to default to that. But yeah. I would be careful doing a dark navy and a dark purple, or like navy and black, or something like that. Like that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But
yeah, the fade, wraps, inlays, whatever, they're somewhat tricky because obviously contrasting colors are gonna be the most apparent and probably the easiest for a beginner to figure out a color scheme that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But you take aside contrasting colors, and just like we have up here, we don't have necessarily the same shade of all red, but you can have similar shade colors. You can have all medium, you can have a medium red, a medium orange, a medium yellow.
Yeah.
And they can go together very well. So it's almost like it doesn't have to necessarily be contrasting colors. You can still play around with similar colors. It's just one of those things, honestly, best thing to do when I need a little bit of inspiration on color, and, because I'll admit I'm not the most creative person when it comes to colorways and all that, is hop in, the Rod Builders Workshop group.
How many we got in there, by the way? 41,000. We were just laughing earlier this evening because we were watching some old clips and playback when we were up here celebrating that we had 6,000 members.
Yeah.
That was 4 years ago?
4 years away,
ago. So yeah, now we got 41.
Yeah.
So.
But I would, and you can search in those groups too, in the Facebook groups especially.
Yes.
You can search, fade or fade wrap or whatever, and I'm sure you're going to get tens and hundreds of different posts that are geared around photos with people showing examples of different fade wraps. So, and you don't have to mimic their exact colorways, but it might give you some inspiration on maybe sparking an idea about how you want to, pick some colors out. So,
yeah. Awesome. There's that. Jack, I like it except for the backbone. Can anything be done to lessen that effect? Jack, I think honestly the only thing that you can do to lessen that effect is to drop to A. Because obviously, and I'm going to show you everybody later, but that backbone is actually threads crossing. So when you create that thread going over the top of another thread, you're going to get those little like vertebrae in there. And there is a little tiny black dot on some of them. I was also doing this pre-show, so, you know. The D thread probably shows that more than the A. And you can sort of, when you're putting these together, you can sort of manipulate the thread a little bit. That will help lessen those little gaps, and I'll show you that as we go through it tonight. So I just wanted to lay that down kind of quick and before we got up here. So anyway.
Ready to do a giveaway?
Yeah, why not?
Giveaway number 1, then we can get into the demo. So first giveaway of the night, we're going to do a ProWrap 18 spool thread assortment plus 2 of the Inlay Bobbins. So let's go ahead and queue up our first giveaway winner of the night.
Cue it up. Give us a really good name, maybe. And obviously, if one of the employees or Mudhole wins, we got a gift card.
Yep.
I think, didn't that happen last time?
I think so.
Ooh, I've seen some names go by that, woo.
All right, here we go. We got John Foster from Facebook. Love it, John. Great
Thanks,
name.
John. Yeah.
Easy enough for the first one. Congratulations.
Okay. Yep.
I approve. I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm. You know, here's the question here that we were talking about earlier. Alan Bell said, why is CFS-D 862 actually blue thread and the RNS-D 862 is actually black? It's not necessarily that it is blue, but I know what you're talking about. It does have like a navy type of a hue to it, and that's just because the way the thread is treated. So you really can't get around that, except for using regular nylon when you want to do that. And of course, if you followed along, we have shown you how you can kind of cheat and go like willy-nilly with 862 nylon over like big giant saltwater guide wraps and stuff, and it just disappears to all black, and you don't even have to worry about burnishing and packing thread and doing that. Like, granted, it's if you leave gaps in the thread, it's going to show through, but you can go like down and then back and then back down,
wrap over and over and
over it, and then just be like, yeah, cool, put some finish on it, and it'll be perfect. So that's the fun cheat that we talk about. All right, probably to just go ahead and do this. Right?
Classic
Fade wrap. Okay, so the classic fade wrap. We are, Uncle Phil, this is good. It's a progression and regression explanation. Whew. All right. Anyway, so the classic fade wrap. Are we going to go to the skybox cam too?
Here we go.
Let's hit it. All right, perfect. I know. Hang on. Here we go. Bum, 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 bum. There it is. All right. From our drone cam here. So this is what Uncle Phil was talking about, or what we're calling a classic fade wrap. So this is a 7-1 classic fade wrap. The reason that we call it a 7x1 is we do 7 of one color, 1 of the next color, then 6 and 2, and so on. If you guys could have seen the way that Hunter looked over, it was like, I don't think he knows what he's. I don't think he knows the next number. Yeah, right. I had to get my toes out. All right. Anyway, so that is how you go through, and obviously it lends itself over here. So this one is 7. And this one is 7. And then you have 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, like that, all the way through it. Now, this is just a 7-1. There's no reason that I chose a 7-1, except like I'm not going to sit here and do a 15-1 on a live show tonight. Like we don't, the microwave can't hold the Hot Pockets for that long. But you can. You can get wild. You can do 100-1 if you're just trying to get away from the family and you want to sit in the basement. And
22-foot rod blade.
Yeah, exactly. Wrap, your 8-foot flipping stick, the entire thing from end to end. And then if you don't like it, then just cut the whole thing off, right? So anyway, this is a classic. fade wrap. And we're going to go over to the whiteboard, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So, all right. So we have, what we're going to do is we're going to start, here's our rod blank. So we're going to start just like we do a normal guide wrap. And you have to kick this thing over. And you have to make sure that every thread that you lay down before you start doing this thing, you got to count it. So if you go around like one time to start your wrap, you know, that's one. Or if you go around twice to start your wrap, obviously you have to take that into account. So we're going to do, you know, this will be 7. And let's see if, is the blue going to work? Sort of. It's already faded. So 1, and then, this is not to scale, right?
Oh, come on, what do you mean?
Get out of here. 2. Right? And so on. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but you get it, right? And obviously it's going to turn itself around. And then most of the time you can go through here, and then you got your gap that whatever the last color is, so if 7 over here is black, you're going to end up with 7 blue over here. And what you can do is run the blue all the way across, however far you want, okay? A lot of times you can run it far enough that it'll match up like a cool decal that you can put over this. You can put a monogram. You can write on it. You could do another little inlay in here, you know, like go wild. You know, it's rod building, right? We love this. So go across, and then obviously you're going to restart the fade wrap, but it's going to be opposite. So again, you're going to start, instead of the 7 black, you're not going to start the 7 black here. You're going to end with 7 black out here. So you'll start with 1 here, right? And you'll work your way out to 7 here. And that's how you can take it and flip it so that then it's 7, 6, right? Like that. And so on. So that'll come in from this way, that's in from that way. Now you can also cheat if you want. If you're doing it in the middle of a split grip, or if you're doing it in it's a very confined space. Mark your rod blank, do this end, and do this end, and then just fill in the gap. It's not easy, but it is doable. The next thing that you can also do, this side will be the same as this side, like give or take a hair, right? So do this side, get it all burnished out nicely, and measure it with your digital calipers. Don't measure it like eyeball it with like, oh, that's about like 2 thumb widths. No, measure it exactly. Then transfer this measurement over here and mark it off with, you know, either a Sharpie or your China marker, or even a sharper edge like a piece of tape. So you know exactly where this needs to end up width-wise, and then run your blue across, and then stop it, and then finish it out over here. So there's a couple ways you can do that. Kind of depends on how precise that you need to be.
Yeah, there was several questions along those same lines of trying to, you know, is there a way to determine the length of that wrap ahead of time, or this and that? You can scroll back to the comments there if you want, but a couple people chimed in. I saw Wes Christie's in there. He answered that question along with a few other people. So yes, there is a way to determine that, but you need to kind of have a little bit of planning ahead of time to figure out the length of that thread wrap.
Yeah, and Wes is right. He said wrap threads packed normally measure 1 millimeter, then that gives your thread per millimeter or wrapped area. Not that I don't trust, you know, trying to do like, okay, well, 1 thread or 3 threads is this millimeter or whatever. I like wrapping and burnishing and making sure everything's there, and then measuring that whole brick, and then transferring that side over to the other side.
Cool.
So, but yeah, I'm not also in any position to argue with Wes Christie. So. Anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and let me show you how to do this. Now, as we always get to do stuff on live, it can be frustrating because it is live, but we're going to work through it. So, because, you know, I've been known to make mistakes.
No.
Now, there are a couple things you can do and kind of sort of cheat a little bit when you're starting. Like I mentioned, if you're going to start and go around once, you can go around once, right? And remember, your bobbin creates a little bit of hang weight, okay? So you can do that and let it fall off. But you just have to keep count. So if you're going to go around twice, like some people do, and it snugs it a little better, let me get my bobbin off the table here. So if you go around twice, it'll hold it a little bit better, right? But remember, you have 2 threads on there now, okay? So as you come around, now we're 3, 4, and so on. What you have to pay attention to, though, is you have to work, you're going to have to, at some point, work this color in. Of course, I'm going to get it all tangled here. We're going to start cussing in a minute. I have to put another Todd sticker on the wall.
Uh-oh.
So we're going to have to work in this yellow. Let me get this situated back in the bobbin because I dropped it.
The setup of starting out here can be a little tricky, but
yeah,
once you get kind of the first couple wraps in, it's so much easier.
So this is going to come in like this, okay? That's where this is going to sit on the top like that. That's where these little handlebars and your little bobbin piece is going to come into handy, okay? So I'm going to back this off because I like to have enough threads gripping my yellow. Okay? So, let me put this on here. If you want, you can always tape this, okay? It's a little bit of a cheat, but nothing wrong with cheating a little bit, okay? Just trying to make sure that everybody gets this locked down where it needs to be. Because if you do not have this locked down tightly, it will end up pulling out, and it's frustrating, okay? So, just like that. So we're just going to go over the top since I've already got it down because we can cut it, all right? Sorry, I'm trying to like talk and do and all that. So there's 3. And as you get it laid down, you can start to snug it up a little, right? Was that 700?
Sure.
Sure.
I wasn't counting my fingers, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, right. I'm just trying to keep you involved here, you know. All right. So, what we have to do for our okay, we get that? All right. Just want to make sure that the drone cam is getting it. Trying to make sure that everybody just goes, no, it's only 7. All right. So, I leave this one short, okay? As you can see, it's not touching the track, all right? We are going to, let me slide this bobbin in here just a little bit. Hang on, let me get this over. All right. Sorry, I'm just going to show this, slide that over. This bobbin, you pull off the band. So this is the band. Pull it off. Let me shorten this. Let me shorten a string here. Now this is free. Okay. The orange is still hanging. This comes up, right? Come up. And the orange comes to the side, right? See me here? Whoop, we're creating an X. Okay, now this, the yellow, replaces where the orange was. The orange now gets banded, okay? Everybody good? Let me slide it back here to the center. Just wanted to show you that band. Now, here's the fun part. If you do not pay attention to this connection point here, this backbone, just because you're tugging on this guy to come this way, to wrap this direction, right? This will pull this X down a little, and then it'll pull the next group down, and the next group down, and the next group down, and the next group down. And instead of your backbone being straight like this, it'll be like this, curved like that. It's not that there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but if you're trying to hide something like that, now that backbone is going to be over a larger surface area rather than just being in a perfect straight line, okay? So I will take this orange and I'll shift it a little. You see how now it's at an angle like this? Instead of being perfectly straight like that, I bring it up here a little bit. And I even will pull this apart just slightly. The reason I do that is because I can manipulate this X here. I pull it back a little and then I pull it down. Okay? Tug on it a little bit. We're going to go around. And there's your one pass. Okay? I'm just trying to keep my hand out of the way here. We just kind of burnish this in. You're going to see that there's a little bit of a tiny, tiny, tiny gap there. We can fix that as we start stacking more thread around it. As we push this thread in here, we can sort of get rid of some of that stuff. You want to hold this guy for me?
Sure.
Does this need to stay plugged in, Uncle Phil?
We
have 44%. Oh, yeah. Just stand over here.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine that, huh?
Move me.
Yeah. If you had your way, you'd be out in the other room.
What?
All right. So, moving along, we're going to unstrap the orange. We're going to bring the orange up and the yellow to the right. And we're going to forget how to count again. We're just going to strap that guy back down. And you see here, see that gap? That gap is because you only have one thread trying to hold itself in place. I try to pull that up a little bit because as I bring it back here down and start putting tension on it, it's going to bring it back straight. So there's 1, 2, 3. And before you get too far into it, if you feel like, whoa, that's getting a little crazy or a little crooked, don't be afraid to stop, but you need to remember where your numbers are. We just straighten that back up, okay? 4, I think. 5. And there's 6, I think. All right, so. And I just never could even fathom how hard it is to count to 7. Take your yellow, come up, bring your orange around, and just drop your yellow. Bring the orange up at an angle a little bit, pull it tight. Trying to get that on there. Okay. So see, up at an angle a little, Pull it tight. Good. So now we're showing a little gap here. Okay? That's fine. We're going to pull it back straight. One, two. Okay. Now that one started to get a little crooked on us. You see it? It's starting to drop down a little bit. I can pull this orange up and burnish back in here. And it kind of wants to do it when you have these really low numbers of threads. Okay? So you just got to kind of pay attention a little to it. Just keep it straight. Good. And yeah, you guessed it. We're going to take the orange up here. Bring the yellow over. You all right over there, Hunter?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you breathing there for a minute.
Checking out these questions.
Super excited.
Yeah,
Good.
lots of some kudos coming your way. Great job in showing us
no.
these steps, Chris. It's from Jeffrey. What else we got in here? A couple of comments about the backbone, or the, you know, whatever you want to refer to that, kind of the ugly side of the wrap, I guess you could say. You can, you know, plan out where that backbone is going to be visible. So, you know, if you're if you got a spinning rod, you know, you want to do it on the, we'll call it the same side as the guides. That way it's on the underside.
Correct.
You know, kind of the opposite there for casting. The guides are probably going to be on the top, and, you know, you still want that backbone to be on the bottom of the rod. So, you know, just plan ahead. You can choose where that backbone is, so just plan accordingly.
And you can, as I mentioned, as we get some threads on here, we can do some burnishing and some straightening and some things like that, because now you've got a little bit of thread tension there where you can kind of straighten things up and start to pack things in.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really look as bad as maybe you think it might.
Yeah.
If you're really down on yourself about doing this and you think that your backbone's a mess and you think this shit, just go get a rod, or just take a trip down to Bass Pro Shops and walk the rack and go, oh, man, I really feel a lot better about myself and my wraps after looking at something that, you know, is a wrap on like a $250 factory built rod. It'll make you feel a whole lot better, I promise.
Yeah. Somebody took my question down there. Wyatt, are you using A or D thread in this demonstration? We are using D, size D thread.
I actually forgot, where am I at here?
Yes, John. The smaller the thread size, the smaller the backbone. Yeah, so you use size A as opposed to D. You know, that backbone is not going to be as apparent.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, it was down a little bit. Whoa.
Can you use more than 2 colors? Larry wants.
I was going to say, well, I was waiting on that one.
Oh yeah, I've seen it a few times. What do you got for Larry there? Can you use more than 2 colors?
You know, I have never used 2 colors. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's just amazing that I'm using 2 colors instead of just black thread to wrap guides. But
That's very true.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how. I mean, you could manipulate it, but I don't know if you would do.
And for a classic, right? You want to stick with 2 colors.
Yeah, Yeah, but I'm just trying to like do the math in my head to see if you would do like, no, because if you did like 764 or 765, and then you, yeah, no, I would probably stay with just two
I
colors.
don't know. It's a lot of math.
Yeah, right.
But for the next one, we're going to talk about the
Yeah.
alternative. Definitely use more than
Right,
one color.
you could go crazy. You
Sure.
could use a bunch with that one because you're not really having to do this like transitional with math, you know. Because that's what makes this fade wrap work, is the fact that we're using, you know, where it goes 7 to 1 and whatever. It's amazing. Trust me, this goes a lot faster when you're not like having to teach it and stop and answer questions. And so don't be afraid of it. Of course, I'm just trying to get it a little straighter here.
Yeah, Christopher, we touched on this topic early in the show. His question is, would you not recommend using one color in A or B size and then the other in D? Stick with the same size, right? So like, you know,
Yeah, I
you're doing
would.
2-color classic, whatever you want to call it, stick with size D and size D. Don't do size A and size D.
Yeah, just because I think that the size D next to the size A is just going to kill it. And then if you ever forget where you're at, just you can do 7, 6, 5, 4. And now we're on 3.
Don, it will keep tension, you know, assuming that that bobbin is hanging. You know, Chris will show you here in a second, but if that bobbin is hanging down from your rod blank like it is right now in the photo or in the video, then that is keeping tension, if that's what you're referring to. And then obviously the one on the right side of the screen that's held up by a rod band, that one also has tension applied as well, but that rod band is keeping that inlay bobbin tight. Hopefully that explains and answers your question there.
Yeah, because what Hunter was saying is, here's your rod band on that blank. Okay. We have a gust of wind going on out there. What was that?
Yeah, Alan, the rod band, the little elastic band that we just showed there is what is fastening the other bobbin to the rod blank, just to kind of, yeah, there we go. Great shot there, guys. You can see that yellow thread is obviously in a bobbin, in an inlay bobbin. There's a rod band, what we refer to as a rod band, that goes around the rod blank, holds that spool thread there, and then Chris can just easily take it on and off, switch colors back and forth. Everything stays nice and tidy and neat and has tension, so makes it very easy.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I do like using this power wrapper. Does have the band on it at the moment, but I can just reach over with my left hand and spin the head on the power wrapper, and it also keeps it from, you know, I can let go. I'm spinning it like this because, you know, there's knurling on the top of this chuck right here, so I can easily spin it like that. I can also come out here and spin it like this. Okay, which you'll see in the other one.
Yes, there is one band that's included with each bobbin.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a two-piece set there, the bobbin plus the rod band.
Now we kind of get near the end. I kind of like want to make sure we're stacking things up here.
John's got a good question here. Just saw it was highlighted. Any issues with thread twist that you've seen, Chris, with these bobbins? What I noticed, as soon as that question popped up, is it seems like most of the time your bobbin kind of it untwists itself, I guess, is a good way to put it. Once you let go of it, it kind of free spins and kind of hangs from the rod blank. It seems all that twist might be coming out. So, any issues with?
Yeah, I mean, I really haven't seen much twist of it. I mean, there's like a little tiny bit,
Nothing
mean,
noticeable.
I've never noticed where like I need, because in fly tying thread, we do have like flat wax nylon where we will take it and we'll spin it to make it twist or untwist. But I've never noticed outside of anything of just normal thread twist that it causes like any kind of a weird look. So there's a little bit of a whatever. Now, if we're going to finish this, okay, we have to keep in mind, is this going to continue as a solid yellow piece over to the next fade, or are we going to end it right here? Because if we're going to end it right here, you have to make sure that this yellow now gets locked. So what you would do is you would come back like we're starting. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then I would come up here and let this hang. And then I would take a tie off piece and stay in here like this. And do 4, 5. I would pull the orange. Six, 7. Because you got to remember, you got to cut it off, right? You got to end it somehow. So, and then you always, I try to like get rid of the orange there under it as well, so you don't have that orange hanging out. And I know I'm doing this like a little quick, but and then you're gonna just kind of do your final. And you can come in here and flatten this backbone. You can work on it pretty good, but it still at times wants to give you a little bit of a tiny, tiny gap. And of course, if you mind that a little bit better through the whole thing, but that's it pretty good. There's a little wobble in it. There's a little wobble over here. It's not too bad. Those lines are pretty straight, I feel like, for doing it live. Now you have this tag hanging out over here. I will tug. Of course, I cut it too short. You can tug on it a little bit. And that's gone. So, and that's gone. Right? Pretty straight backbone there. just spinning it on the power wrapper. Those lines are pretty straight. Both of them are not too bad. This one's got a little bit more of a wobble in it. But yeah, that's not too bad.
Well done.
All right.
Sharp.
And again, if you were going to continue this out, you would just take and just hang onto that yellow and just whoop and just run it out as far as you want to run it before you start back with your 1 orange and then 6 and then 2 and then 5 and then 3 and 4, things like that. So yeah.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Lots of good compliments there,
Yeah,
Chris.
yeah.
Good job, good job. Very nice. Well done. That's awesome.
You want to give something away, Hunter Man?
Let's do it.
Oh, I know Jake needs to get out of here. All right. You got like swim lessons tonight or something? Are they taking the water wings off?
Yeah, and I gave me a custom haircut.
Wow. Got a little extra room in the back. Keep the business in the front.
A little bonnet.
Sweet.
All right, giveaway number 2. ProWrap 40 spool thread assortment. And 2 CRB thread inlay bobbins, which have been a hit tonight. Fan favorite for sure. Who's it going to be? Brian Thompson, Facebook. I'm just digging these winners tonight.
Another easy one.
Love it, love it.
Why don't the next we'll just give it to Bill Smith?
Yeah, right?
Come on.
Make sure the winners tonight email live@mudhole.com, LIVE @mudhole.com to claim your prize. All right, what we got next?
The alternative one.
Throwback to the 90s.
Cue the Nirvana music, right?
Yeah.
Smells like fade wraps.
I like that. That's good.
All right. What are we doing over there? Is that a... Oh, they are 20% off?
Yeah.
Did we say that?
We just did.
Thread bobbins.
Thread bobbins are
20%
off.
All right, cool. All right, let's do this alternative thing. So, as you see here, we did yellow to orange to red. The yellow is 119. The orange label fell off, and the red is 316. I want to say that the orange is like 210. Is that right?
Looks like a 210, 207.
Does it look like a 210 to you, Hunter?
Yeah.
I'll tell you at the end of the show. How about that? I'll pull it out of the thread carriage.
Okay. I was gonna say those two look very, very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually tinkering around with like a different.
Looks like a goldfish to me.
Is it? No, it's not 207. It's 210.
210,
It is
burnt
210.
orange. Okay.
Yeah. 210, 316, and 119. Yeah.
All CFSD. Color fast, size D.
Well, these are now going to be size A.
Oh, well,
But yes,
prior. Okay.
these were all size D that were on here.
The classics.
Yeah, this guy. The classic. Okay, now we're going to do size A. Watch your fingers
Watch out.
for this guy. The alternative. All right, let me get my overhead view
Yeah.
here.
So Andrew, the little black arms on the side of the bobbin, they come with. They are part of the bobbin.
Yeah.
They're not separate pieces by any means. They're
Correct.
built into the bobbin. And then the band there's one band that goes along with each inlay bobbin. So it's all one set.
Yes, Jake.
Yeah.
Correct.
CRB inlay bobbin. Yes.
Yeah.
Good call there.
The Hunter handlebars, as we call them here. The Hunter handlebars are only on the CRB thread bobbin. Thank you, Jake. All right. We got the drone cam back up. What we're going to do is we're doing the alternative one. So, I don't know, this might have even come out of the Pacific Northwest. Who knows?
Ooh,
I know it's a big
Robert said Astros colors.
grunge.
I'm going to say absolutely not.
Astros colors.
No way, Robert.
Okay.
Disagree with you there, buddy.
All right.
We are not Astros fans.
No, we're not.
here.
So, wait, do you hear that? Oh, I think it's just somebody hitting a trash can or something out in the hall. I don't know if that's. Anyway, so we have the 3-spool thread carriage, which is the 4-spool thread carriage, but it only has 3 threads in. And we're going to start our thread. Now, the good news is we don't have to count on this one until we get to where the colors start to inlay, okay? Line everything up here.
Alan, no, we are not Twins fans either. We are Braves fans.
Yeah.
Chris and I are both very much Braves fans. So.
Yeah. We are very far from Minnesota if you've ever looked on a globe. All right. So we're going to start our thread wrap here. You can run this power wrap if you want to, or you don't have to. Now, something that you might want to pay attention to is, and of course I didn't bring I'll write it on the back of the Todd sticker. Okay, if you want to get really super technical, you can say, if you have, hang on. All right. This is a solid color, and then these are your mixers, and then solid color, and then your mixers, and then a solid color, right? These you can either do in millimeters, just with a digital caliper that we've got here, or you can count. I don't particularly like to count these because honestly, if you do 22 or 21, you're really not going to pay attention. And if you're running it on the power wrapper, good luck, okay? So if you want to come in here to your blank and make little marks, with a Sharpie, start, stop, go ahead. But what I would do is these transition parts where it goes from one color to the next, you're going to want to count those, okay? So on your little note sheet, you can either put how many millimeters, right? But right here, I'm going to want 5 wraps. And right here, I want 5 wraps. Now, I'm going to show you why you need to pay attention to that, because we're actually going to wrap 6 times and 6 times. 6 times, sorry. 6 and 6. But the way that we do the transition in here, you're going to lose a wrap. It's going to undo itself one time, okay? And you can just keep this here, to remind yourself, if you're like me, and numbers are not your friend. So that's why we build rods, and I'm a fishing guide. So here we go. We are just going to, and again, I'm actually just turning this power wrapper on the outside here, like this guy right here. If you're not doing really, really long wraps, you can just turn it like that. I still have the band on it, but it keeps everything like really snug. I am also using the RBS rolling thread runner out here in front of me. I'll show you that on the overhead. I'm using that guy right there. Thread runner, it is blurry, but keep in mind, we have the depth of field focus set to see this. And the little guy that's upstairs on the rafters doesn't know how to work the camera, so we can't change the focus, okay? So it's just set where it's at, so just stay with us.
Completely forgot he was up there.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was the one that was hitting the trash can.
Oh,
He's an Astros fan, that's what it was.
Well
He's an
done.
Astros fan. Yeah. He had an Altuve jersey on, yeah, but it was a size small. Anyway, so we've got our color here, and if we want to measure it, we can measure it and lock it. Okay. And that's that width. Now keep in mind, these are all bad jokes and we're all having a good time. We love you guys. So we like to banter back and forth.
But seriously.
Now, all right, anyway, so we have this. Now here's the transition part, because you can do this a couple different ways, but this is the way that I like to do it. And when I say the way that I like to do it, it's because it's the way that Jake showed me. So that's the way that I like to do it. Because I went to him and asked, how do you like to do it, Jake? And he showed me, and I agree with him that this is the way that I like to do it too. So the trick to this is we are going to leave this thread connected. We are then going to have this orange thread. The orange thread is going to be over here to your left, just in my thread carriage, okay? Just in the thread carriage to the side, right? This orange piece needs to come over the top and then come under, okay? And I'm going to pull this out so you can see this, all right? So it's over the top. It goes over the top, and then under, okay? What that's going to do is that's going to pinch this orange piece under here, right? Is everybody good with that? Now, this orange piece you can see is kind of slack. It just kind of hangs. The yellow is still tight. We're doing that on purpose. But you don't want to pull so much slack out of the orange that you're going to have to manipulate with your hand the entire time. I just leave a little bit of slack out in the orange to get it started before it comes back tight, and then it'll be tight, and then we can keep wrapping, okay? So let me get this yellow back together here. And remember, the reason that this works is because when the orange comes over the top, it's now going to be to the inside of this yellow. That is key. So you're going to have the yellow out here, and then you're going to have the orange here, like that. Okay, here we go. We're going to pinch both of them. Them? What was that?
Whoa, whoa.
That was some... Anyway, all right, so we're going to pinch both of them. And we're going to start wrapping. You notice now the orange is on the inside. And we're going to cross over. And we can kind of manipulate this a little bit, right? So that's 1. Remember, we got to stay with the math. 1. 2. Now, after 2 wraps, I've taken the slack out of the orange and I can let it go. You can see both are tight now. So what I can do is I can wrap like I was doing before, but just kind of hold. So that's 3, 4, 5. That's what we want, but we got to go 1 more. We got to go to 6. Okay? So now that we've got 6, there's a little teeny tiny gap over here that we could have sort of manipulated that a little beforehand with a thread burnisher. But we can do it right now and make it go away. So it's got a really cool transition piece right there. And you can see it start to fade. Now, we are going to want to get rid of the yellow, and we're going to continue with the orange out this way. So remember, this is how you keep it in mind. Your orange thread is out here, so we're going to not cut the orange, we're going to cut the yellow. And when we cut the yellow, and here let me show you in the 4-spool thread, you can kind of see the two colors here coming out of the top. Again, it's blurry because the guy in the rafters, right? So yellow, the orange tag out here reminds you not to cut the orange, cut the yellow. For good measure, I'm just going to put my hand here and cut the yellow, okay? I'm just doing that. You don't necessarily have to, but I'm doing it to show you so I can grab this yellow before it unwraps itself. So now we have the yellow. Here's the yellow, okay? Remember, it's 6, so it's going to back 1 off. And now it's under this orange tag, or orange standing, right? So now you see both of them here. Now the yellow is captured. I'm going to push that back a little. And we can cut the yellow. All right? We can leave a little tag if we want. Obviously, we would need to make sure that it doesn't go haywire on us and we lose it. So you can see that little tag right there. And now we're going to start wrapping the orange. And now we've made the transition. We're going to get it locked down. We're going to button some of this stuff up. Now, One thing, Jake didn't tell me this, but I figured out because I boogered it up myself. And I didn't really mess it up. But if you burnish like this across the top of these threads, like this back and forth this way, you'll make this wavy. Good thing, bad thing? I don't know. Do you want to make it wavy? Probably not. So what I like to do is I like to close the gaps. And then let's see how they're fairly straight? Those are straight, okay? If I was to come in here and burnish back and forth, like if I do too much on one side and not enough on the other, then you're gonna get this whoa, you know, and maybe you want that. I don't know. We are getting faded in here, so who knows? But you might not. So keep them as straight as possible and just barely and burnish like this, because all you're gonna do is like flatten those down a little. And you're just making sure that they're separating the orange and the yellow, right? Okay. And then we have enough of this orange captured. We can just kill the orange. All right. Then we're going to check. I have the little set screw in the top of the calipers set. So like, yeah, we got a little ways to go. So we're going to run this guy out. Hunter, you still awake over there, bud?
Oh, yeah. Got some good questions coming in, actually. Christopher, this is not the first one we've answered for him. Do y'all ever use anything other than the yellow plastic piece to burnish? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris actually uses thread picks pretty often.
Yeah.
Especially on decorative wraps. It just makes it easier to even, manipulate a couple threads at a time if you need to. I think we have maybe a 4-piece, thread pick set.
Yep. And they have like the spatula set is kind of cool too.
Yeah, spatula's good.
But the thread pick set is not as tight. What I really like, if I'm not using the metal ones, is we have this guy, right? You wanna go to the zoom cam, Phil?
The burnishing tool set.
Burnishing tool set.
So it's a 5-piece set.
Thank you, Jake.
Got some cool different designs in there, depending on if you need a flat side, a pointed side, even got a big multi-tool in there. It looks like you can, use it for butt wraps and long thread wraps, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So there you go. Sweet.
All kinds of options.
I can dig it. Thank you, Jake. All right. So now I've got this where it needs to be, and I'm just measuring the solid colors because the stripes are the exact same every time. All right, now we're going to use the red, which what did I say it was? 316.
316.
Get this, I got a little mess in it from when I was doing it earlier. And again, the red is in my 4-spool thread carriage.
David,
Check
that
it.
is a funny comment. Never thought a free show would cost me so much money.
There it is.
That's awesome.
All right. So remember, we're going to go across the top and underneath like that. Okay? Pull it up. Now, let's keep in mind that we want to maintain, because I thought I had lined it up, but I don't. We want to kind of maintain all of our transition in the same, okay? They're not nearly as noticeable as the backbones, but they're still something, right? So we go across the top and underneath. Make sure it's captured. We're going to leave a little bit of slack in the red. Pull it out to the side just a little bit. Nothing crazy. And you're just adding your tension with your fingers here and making sure that the threads don't get bunched up. So that's 1. 2. Now we're tight, so we can let it go. 3, 4, 5. That was 5. I'll show you how to fix that in a minute. 6. Okay. So the red's out this way, reminding you don't cut the red, cut the orange. Cut the orange, walk it back, and then bring it up under the red. We'll just bring it up here to meet that one, okay? You can see there's a little bit of like muddied color right there. We're going to wrap a little bit of the red. Then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to work the burnishing tool this direction, not this direction. And I'm just flattening those threads out. You can see those gaps kind of close up. And then you'll also notice where those threads will settle themselves to create straight lines with proper gaps.
There's been a lot of questions about metallic thread.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can definitely, you know, use metallic, ProWrap metallic to accomplish this same thing. Just be mindful, metallic thread is a little bit more difficult to work with. It's just a different animal, but it's definitely doable to do some of these, you know, fade wraps with metallic thread.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't have that thing turned up. I thought I had it turned up. Check it.
Mic it. The name of the bobbin tool is the CRB Inlay bobbin. Guys, can we get another link in there, please, in the chat? So that way you can go right to the website.
Make sure we're putting our loops in here with everything else, you know, all your other little crossovers and everything. All in line with your marks the best you can. And then we're just going to close it off just like we close off all the other ones. And check it. Where'd that pedal go? It's pretty straight. Pretty straight for a live show.
Pretty good. Very good.
Yeah, those are pretty straight. Not bad. And then earlier I came in and I put some color preserver on these and whatnot, just so that I could, when I'm putting my hand all over it on the show. So yeah, that's it.
Great job.
Thank you. What time is it? Oh, it's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Jake's gonna turn into a pumpkin. Hey, those float though, so you're good.
That's funny.
Oh, it says Jake learned it from Mike Garone.
Mike Garone.
Sweet. I mean, I don't think anybody really thinks that we just like woke up one morning and got these. No, and that's one of the great things about rod building and why all these groups and ICRBE meetups and all that stuff are so great, because that's how we learn this stuff. So, yep. Awesome.
Good stuff.
Super. All right, you want to switch back real quick?
Yeah. Let's do,
Are we going to do a rapid fire?
I think so. I'm sure there's plenty. I certainly didn't hit all the questions. There's
No, you
plenty
didn't?
more in there.
You were just talking so much.
A lot
I
of
don't know what.
the same questions. So
Yeah, a lot of the same questions. Maybe we won't do 7 minutes of rapid fire, but maybe we'll just do a little bit. So go ahead. You want to light it up? Yeah, there you go. Rapid fire Q&A. Awesome. Hey, we have 529 people in here tonight. We appreciate that you guys don't have anything better to do on a Tuesday night. All right, put it on the clock.
When you put it that way.
Yeah, right. Hunter, what? He's Nick. I'm new to this. What's the best way to do a light under wrap for a thin wall blank?
Not sure on the question.
So I think what Nick is worried about,
Tension?
if it's a thin wall blank, yes. So we do have to be careful with tension on thin wall blanks. I would also, if I was going to do an under wrap and it is a lightweight thin wall blank, I'm going to do size A. But I'm also going to do size A pretty much on every under wrap I do. Although I am still the person that does an under wrap and then adds finish before I wrap my guide on top of my under wrap. But what I would do is wrap with A. Now, here on your tension rod, right? Your tension rod being straight up and down right here, proper tension is no more than 90 degrees, okay? So the tension rod is at 90, that's straight up and down. This is at 90. So you really don't want your tension rod any higher or any like humped over more than that. And that's going to keep you from collapsing any blank that you're working with. So I think maybe that's where he was going with that.
All right, hit me with that one. Try
again. This is a good one. Caesar, what's the best way to tell what kind of thread you have after time when the labels come off the threads?
Oh, that's an easy one.
Yeah, right. I honestly think you probably should just put them in a plastic, like in a 3700, and put labels on them.
Yeah.
I also think that'll keep you, because I use a bin at the house, and I do that for two reasons. One, because if like you have a spool of thread and it's like this and it goes like that, it'll whoop, unroll, right? If that would have stayed right there, that would have been...
I was waiting for it.
That would have been... You know, there used to be a lip here.
Yeah.
There's no lip anymore. But, so that's what happens. So, I keep it in a bin, and I would put a label on that bin in each little individual slot. Keeps that from happening, but it also keeps like dust and all this other stuff that's in a workshop from falling on your thread, and then that translates it to your rod. So Caesar, what I would do is I would just cut it off at the pass, because yes, if that label comes off, you're going to be like me and be like, okay, cool. I don't know how to do that. Let's see. All right, Hunter. When's the Suka 2 spinning going to be back in stock? Do you know?
So we actually have a shipment of M3K. So spinning and casting M3K. Got a small shipment coming in, I'd say maybe by next week.
Okay.
Forged carbon is going to be a little bit further out, but, you know, hoping maybe the next three-ish weeks. So not too far out.
Sweet. I can deal with that. Robert, can you not use the bobbin for guides? Question mark. You can.
You can, absolutely. It's going to slow you down, but
yeah. Well,
I mean, yeah, if you're power wrapping, you know,
right.
That's a different story.
Yes.
If you're
on a power wrapper,
yeah,
the bobbin or just hand holding a spool at times is kind of.
There's a lot of.
If you're not worried about tension,
yeah,
and like having to backtrack, I would use the bobbin, and I've used the bobbin on a power wrapper before. Just you know, going from guide to guide. If the guides are already on it, and you're moving down, like it's not a bad way to roll.
A lot of OEM and quote unquote professional rod builders actually do not use a thread carriage. They will either hold the spool in their hand or they will use a bobbin. That's very common in that world.
Mary Christie
right.
said, I've been calling these a blended fade, but I'm officially referring to them as the alternative fades from now on. Sweet. Now,
trademark.
No, I didn't. No, there's no TM here, but we'll just keep that, we'll keep that group wide, So yeah. Let's see. Is a thread stronger since it takes more wraps to cover a guide foot?
I mean, if you look at it that way, possibly. The thread itself A compared to D, D's going to be a stronger thread, right? I mean, just
Yeah, I mean, just the fact of the
it's a thicker
thickness.
diameter,
Right.
sure.
It would be
but-
like 10-pound test instead of 15.
Yeah, I mean, I do see the point though. You're gonna have more wraps, even though it's a thinner diameter. You know, I'm not sure the answer to that question, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
the finish is kind of what keeps everything together. It's
Yeah, the
not
combo.
really, it's the thread keeps the guide adhered to your blank. The finish protects your thread.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it all works. So
Yeah. And that's why you want your thread finish to go all the way to your rod blank
yes,
and not be held back by something like color preserver or whatever. Let me run out here. Let's see. Did Wes Christie borrow hair from Jake at the expo? Did that happen? Allegedly? Did he just like walk up behind it and cut it and you didn't even know it? Wes, we're going to need to see like a guide wrap or maybe put into, some sort of a decorative wrap.
I mean, talk about a mullet rod. That's it.
That's it. That is something else. All right. They just ordered 2 bobbins. So,
Nice.
sweet.
Awesome.
Cool. At least the bobbins aren't expensive.
No,
You know?
they're not. Especially at 20% off, you get some savings there.
Yeah. Hey, Dave said, when did Hunter say the inletting tool was hitting the website?
Mid-April.
Mid-April.
A couple more weeks.
That's not too bad.
A few more weeks out.
How about butt wrap alignment tool?
That one's gonna be a little bit farther out. I don't have an exact timeline. I'm gonna throw out probably a summer.
Yeah.
I'll go summer of this year.
All right, so we have 10 seconds left, and I'm sure you can answer this question.
All right.
To spine or not to spine?
Ooh. Two.
Oh, there it is.
Two.
Don't pause it. You're not allowed to pause it.
No,
Uncle Phil, you're fired. Yep.
It may or may not be one of the next topics.
JT says Mr. Bobbin McCamey.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Clever. Good one.
That's pretty good. Awesome. Well, it's been an hour and 38 minutes. It is 8:10 here on the East Coast. Let's give away the final giveaway, which is an 18-spool thread assortment with 2 CRB thread inlay bobbins and a CRB Color Series custom rod kit. Remember, send an email to live@mudhole.com. That comes to me. You can tell us how great or how bad we did on the show tonight. Plus, that's how we get your information to send you some stuff. All right.
Ken Blanchard Jr.
Yeah,
I've seen him in the chat
I was gonna
all
say,
the time.
all the time.
Congrats, Ken.
Ken, that's a good one, man. You also got a rod kit coming your way. And since we had a clean sweep of Facebook tonight, we're going to go with Dave McCann out of YouTube. Uncle Phil, can you put Dave McCann in there? Dave, we're going to get you a gift card since we can't have a clean sweep of one social media thing. It's going to completely throw off the algorithm and everything else. So, Dave McCann, we got you a gift card coming your way. All right. Let's see. Congratulations to all the winners. We have the next show is going to be, what we're going to do on the next show is we're going to talk about building a cranking rod, okay? And a lot of times, people always talk about catching hogs while they're cranking, just a big bass. Like some people call them bigs, some people call them hammers, some people call them hogs, whatever it is. Biggins. So we're going to talk about how to catch a biggin on a cranking rod, okay? So episode 109, Tuesday, April 23rd at 6:30 Eastern, because we're going to talk about the new American Tackle Moving Bait Series blanks. We're going to talk about how you need to align your guides, put them on the deflection board, things like that. Because remember, having a rod that is maybe moderate or moderate fast, you're going to have to set your guides up differently than a blank that is for a jerkbait and an extra fast. So we're going to go over all of that stuff. And, It's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those good ones because so many people catch fish on crankbaits, lipless cranks, deep divers, the whole thing. And because they're a unique action, we want to make sure that we talk about handle lengths and guide setup and things like that. So that's it. All right, still over 400. We had over 500 tonight. Did anybody get the max number? We were like 520 maybe, 530. Higher than that? Sweet. I love to hear that. Hoffma, we appreciate the Todd decals and the the cranking hogs and everything that you were putting together for us there. Cool Man was in the building earlier tonight doing a lot of design work and helping us get ready for the show. Birdman and Steve were in the war room tonight. So they were the ones putting links in and helping out. Kevin is on vacation. So he's out skiing, and I don't think I saw him in here, which is good. So that means he's actually having a good time, and happy for him to do that. We had Justin on the Zoom all night. Jake was, Jake, what do we got to come up with something that we like call, are you like the liaison maybe? Because you're doing like a couple different things. We're not going to do it. We're not calling it. Right. So Jake the liaison. He's like an attaché for all of us, we'll just call him like number 2. That's what we'll just call him.
Number 2.
We'll just yeah, exactly. Because he's like just like a do-all. Like we can count on Jake to go get us something. He answers questions. He's on Google. He's on social media. So he's a lot more than just hair, promise you. And the hair is great. Uncle Phil, thank you for running the 1s and 2s tonight. And of course, my left-hand man back from overseas, Hunter McCamey, just stepped right back in the role.
I could never left.
You never left. All right, man. Let's go finish these Hot Pockets.
All right, sounds good. Let's do it.
We'll see y'all in April for the Crankin' Show. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.